Hi, good evening everyone. So good evening IFNG, good evening Elite Squad. So tonight, Mama Dragon will teach us how to properly answer questions that are difficult to answer. So Mama Dragon, take it away po.
Thank you so much, Mom Gladys. Good evening, everyone, representing the Philippines. Charing. That's not energy. We were actually talking earlier about our experiences when we were in college, no? Especially with nursing, right? I know that some of you guys could relate to this, right? When you went to the psychiatric hospital during affiliation. So Ma'am Gladys and Sir Marvin were assigned in forensics, no? Fortunately, I was assigned in Pavilion 10 at that time. Sayang, di ba? Pangarap ko ma-assign dun dati eh. All right, so let me just share this one to the Facebook page of Elite Intellect 9 real quick, guys. And we shall start with your discussion. But before we begin, how's everybody doing? I want to see how my children are doing at the moment, no? Okay, how's everyone? If you're in the Philippines, especially on the northern part of the Philippines, please do take care because typhoon, I forgot the name of typhoon. We're not close, right? Because the typhoon is coming, no? And they said that it's a very strong typhoon. Okay. Good evening, May. Good evening, Ate Mimi. Okay, good evening, Zaya. JM Bradley, hello. Ang sata daw ni JM nung NCLEX ay 22 items. Di ba ang dami? Okay, so sorry guys. Mom Gladys and I suddenly had what do you call this, allergic rhinitis. We don't know why. Okay, so let's start with your discussion today. Okay, all right. So guys, this evening I'm going to be teaching you the methods, okay, on how you can answer questions on the IELTS exam. Some students, they do not really know how to start answering questions, right? Or some of the students, they tend to be confused on how to answer difficult questions on the exam or even basic questions. So today I'm going to be teaching you that. Excuse me for a while. Let me just sneeze, guys, real quick. Okay. I don't know what may have happened. Okay, so welcome to another fun and informative lecture here at IFNG on how to answer questions on the IELTS exam. All right, brought to you by IFNG, IELTS Filipino Nurses Group, and of course, Elite Intellect IELTS Specialist, PH. Now, guys, if it's your first time to join our discussions here at IFNG, I am pleased to meet you. My name is Clint Joseph Tyler, founder and master lecturer of Elite Intellect IELTS, OET, NCLEX, and NMC Specialist, PH. I am an IELTS expert for the past 11 years and an OET master lecturer for 6 years. I have a degree in English methodology and theory and also a PhD in English language and literature, also known as your Mama Dragon, Mother Dragon, Mama D, Mother D, Mommy D. Walay hasul. Half Filipino, half mermaid. Sir, mermaid talaga ang term na ginamit mo, hindi merman ha? Bakit? Gusto ko nga maging si Ariel, di ba? Part of your world. Okay. So guys, yes, what we will be discussing about tonight are the different types of techniques, okay? So that it's easier for you to detail on your IELTS examination. Now, it is a given fact that some students, they really do not know what to answer on the interview. Okay, or sometimes they do believe urban legends or internet legends about the way that you should be answering the exam or the questions on the IELTS exam. Now, tonight, I will be teaching you guys on how to do so. But before that, let's take a look at a message of love first, okay? All right, so the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Lamentations 3 verse 22 to 23. One thing, guys, that I would want you to remember is that every time that you're feeling down, demotivated, you feel abandoned, alone, the Lord's love is renewed every single day. The moment that you wake up, you are loved by the Lord. Okay, so never ever feel unworthy, never feel unloved, okay? Because this is one thing that is written in the Bible, okay? All right. Marina, sabi ni Mr. M, di ba? Kailan kaya Busher ay, si Sherin Reyes yung kumanta nun, di ba? Parang V na yata yung pagkakakanta ko. Okay, guys, so let's start. Okay, first things first, my lovies. Okay, yes, you can pass the IELTS speaking examination. Did you know that the culprit on as to why students are not passing the test is the ideation itself that they cannot? Okay, if you are a person who you think you cannot pass the IELTS exam, crush that way of thinking, extirpate that way of thinking, because you would need to always think. Okay, on the positive side. All right, don't take your examination if you have already given up before you even took the test. Okay, all right, so let me just say hello to hello Jerlyn. Oh, Mom Jerlyn is here on Facebook. Dean Pie, hello anak. Cecilia Abalia, good evening my love. All right, so guys, one thing that I would want you to remember is that the most common culprit on as to why the students fail the IELTS is that they have already given up the moment that they filed for the exam. Yes, they will review, they will prepare, they will do their best, okay, on the review. And then once they have filed for the exam, that's the start of them giving up on their goals, okay? Hello, Renee, John Francisco. Hello, my love. Okay, so you must remember you are who you envision yourself to be. So have the sagacity of a true passer. What I always tell my students is that don't go to your examination having the defeatist attitude. Okay, when I say defeatist attitude is that don't go to your examination feeling down, nervous, crestfallen. Okay, it's okay for you to feel nervous on the test. It's normal. We're humans. Okay, it's normal for us to respond that way. But one thing that I would want you to remember on the IELTS speaking is if you are way too nervous, you cannot even say a single thing on the test. Okay, it will be difficult for you to give a good flow to your examiner on the exam. Now, also, guys, you must dedicate time. Okay, it is accurate that the students who dedicate their time in preparation and practice are likely to amass their target score on the test. You must experience the exam prior to the test. So, consistency with the IELTS skill is a germane prerequisite of the test. A lot of students, I might say, they are, what do you call this? They're like a traffic light. Diba? Sometimes they stop, sometimes they go, sometimes they stop again, and then they slow down, and then they go. No? Um, at one point of their preparation, they're really good at preparing. Every day, they're practicing every day, every day, every day. And then something happens, and then the following week, they're not there again. Okay, and then they will come back, and then they will slow down, and then they will be gone again, and then they will come back. That's not consistency, guys. You must remember, for you to become a commendable IELTS speaker, okay, is that you must have that automatic response self. When I say automatic response self, is that when you talk to the people, when you talk to your examiner, you don't even have to think of the answers anymore. That's what I always tell my students at Elite Intellect, guys, is that you should not be, what do you call this? You should not be thinking, okay, on the exam. It's like, it's given. It's normal for you to speak that way. All right? Okay. So what else, guys? The moment you lock eyes with the examiner, you are being assessed. Yes, you're not scored the moment that you lock your eyes with the examiner, but you are already being assessed at that time. One thing that I always tell my students, for you to look polite, okay, on the exam, and for you to look confident, is to greet your examiner. Okay, you greet them. Yung iba kasi nag-hi na nga yung examiner. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mary and I will be your examiner today. Ikaw naman, oh! Hindi ba? Meron ka pa nakabulsang bawang tsaka asin. Kulang na lang ganyanan mo lang. Asin yung examiner. When your examiner says, hello, good afternoon. My name is Mary and I'm your examiner today. Hi, Mary, good afternoon. It's as easy as that. Right? It's as easy as that. You can greet your examiners. Okay, what else? Smile. Okay, but since we're wearing masks on the exam, you can smile with your eyes. Believe me, you can smile with your eyes too. Okay, this is an important technique. Okay, listen carefully. Be conversational. Again, be conversational. Okay, one thing that I would want you guys to remember is that being conversational is like this. You're talking to people, you're having a commendable conversation with them rather than trying to memorize things in front of your examiners. Let me illustrate, okay? Some students on the exam, they tend to speak like this. Well, there are multifarious things that I enjoy in this community, because the family that prays together is stays together and aanhin pa ang damo kapag kabakla ng kabayo. Isang paalala, hindi gamot, hindi pang gawiting gamot sa anong uri ng sakit. They tend to speak like that on the exam. It's too monotonous. Right? You cannot even hear a particular point or excitement with their voice. So I want you guys to be conversational, okay? When your examiner says, what are the things that you enjoy in the afternoon? Well, I am a type of person who loves an area of things, really. But when I am alone at home, I love reading books. It is my laurels, per se. O, di ba, you're conversing with your examiner. Okay, we have a question here from Maristela Katigbak. How about not getting the required score example on reading during practice, sir? What do you suggest? My love, Maristela, what I would want you to remember with reading is it is not something that tests your knowledge. You must be adroit when it comes to hunting down answers. Okay? You would hunt down answers. Here's a tip, guys. Believe me, it will change your life forever when it comes to the reading of the IELTS. Listen carefully. The reading of the IELTS is just a synonym hunting activity. You don't believe me? What are you looking for when you're trying to find the answers of the reading on the IELTS? The synonyms. Okay? So train yourself, widen your vocabulary so as to ensure that you're going to be finding those things. Okay? Now, going back, you must be conversational. Say thank you if you must. If the examiner says sit down or have a seat, you say thank you. Okay, it makes you ready for the conversation and present yourself properly. Guys, please do not go to your examination looking like what a cat dragged in. Okay? Don't go to your examination looking like a serious math girl. Don't look busted on your exam. I can tell you this, okay? For the men, wear something with a collar. Okay? Wear something with a collar. Cuello. Kahit ano pong may cuello. Short sleeve, half sleeve, 3/4, long sleeve, mga ganyan, no? But never sleeveless, okay? For the women, you can actually go to your speaking examination wearing a dress inside and a blazer, okay? Or slacks and then a good top and then a blazer. That would be a good way to present yourself. Now, radiate that stentorian boldness and positivity. When we say stentorian boldness and positivity, that loud positivity and boldness that you have to radiate that. Once the examiner sees you, they would be like, wow, this examinee is a little bit confident. I love the way that she presents herself. Okay, so you have a question here? I failed in reading and writing, sir. Don't you worry, my love, okay? Reading and writing, they just need, they need getting used to, okay? You need to get used to reading. You need to get used to writing. Practice writing every day. Practice reading every single day. It will do you good. Okay, all right. Now, some students fail to realize that this is an examination, interview, and not a recitation. It is an interview and you need to be conversational. So if you will take one thing from this, I want you to be conversational. Do not recite things in front of your examiner. Some students, they tend to prepare beforehand. Okay, some students, they tend to prepare like long phrases that they're going to say, that they're going to tell their examiner. Guys, believe me, more often than not, in my experience of teaching the IELTS for the past 11 years of my life, that's not effective. When you are preparing answers for your examiner, it should be something that comes naturally when you are conversing with them. So that's what I always tell my students is to never memorize answers. Your examiners are trained to spot if you have memorized these. Okay? So wag na wag po tayong magkakabisa ng sagot. Nagmamakaawa po ako sa inyo. Ano? Wag niyo pong i-memorize yung sagot because on the exam, if you're memorizing it, yeah, you're going to get a deduction. Believe me, I can guarantee you that, my love. Okay? All right. Okay, part 1 of the speaking exam. Let's talk about this, okay? Some students find, who here can relate when I tell you that sometimes it's difficult to answer basic questions. Like the most difficult questions to answer on the IELTS are basic questions. Who here can relate? Sino dito nakaka-relate? Yung pag mahirap yung tanong, kayang-kaya mo sagutin, pero kapag ka-basic, hirap na hirap ka na. Who? Say, I do. Right? Zaya and I, sorry guys, okay? Zaya and I, we can really relate this. And even some of our students, yan sila Ate Genji, sila Ate Grace, yung mga yan. When you ask them basic questions, they find it difficult to fathom the idea. Yes, sometimes it happens, no? Ayan, si Zaya, si Ate Mimi, di ba? Kath, look at that. True mother, like describe your town. Big check. Look, Jerlyn and Maristella. Yeah, Cardi. Diba? Yung sobrang simple ng tanong, sometimes it's actually quite difficult to think. Okay? Di ako makapaglagay ng pampabongga. Yeah, that's true. That's the difficult side of being asked a basic question. Like, for example, describe your hometown. Like, it's difficult to describe my town. I mean, I'm not even interested on it. Diba? Some students, that's the main culprit, is that you're not interested with the topic. That's why it's difficult for us to think of responses for that. Now, what is always effective is that I always tell my students, if you find it difficult to explain the answer or to give an answer for that, what I would want you to remember is to ask yourself, what is my observation on this? Yun lang. Okay? You must have that internal monologue, okay, in yourself, and say, what is my ideation on this? Or what is my observation on this? You start with your observation because that is a first-hand experience, and it's always effective when you do that. All right? When you relate it to your own experience, observation, it would be easier for you to come up with ideas to tell your examiners. All right? So, on this part, okay, on the first part, you need to immediately display your capacity. Okay? Do not believe the simple answer urban legend. Okay? I have seen a lot of students like this. Oh, sir, it's just the part one. So I'm just going to give them simple answers on this one. And I always ask them, why? Is the part one not part of your assessment? The part one, guys, is already a part of your assessment. The moment that your examiner presses that recording, you're already being assessed. So why give simple answers for part one? Right? Okay, sometimes the worst thing that the students do on this part is that they give short answers. Guys, never ever give short answers for part one. So you need to sound natural, not just with your answers, but as well as with your connectors. Okay? Do not say, the way I see it, like, ang tanong lang sa'yo, what's your favorite food? Okay? You were asked by your examiner, what's your favorite food? The way I see it, hala. Diba? What is your favorite part of the house? As far as I am concerned, hala ka dyan, kanino pa nga bang concern yun, be? So you have to be natural with your connectors too. Do not use connectors or transitional cues that are being used, okay? That are being used for the deep parts of the exam. Diba? Meron akong pinakabonggang estudyante ito. Ito yung sinabi niya. Sabi ng estudyante ko, we were in speaking coaching, sabi ko, what's the question again? Oh, ito. What is a book? Okay, what is a book that is memorable to you during your childhood? That's a very simple question. I asked the student, what is a book that is memorable to you during your childhood? And then the student's opening cue is like this one. Well, as far as my discernment goes, when it comes to the given innuendo, I concur that my favorite book, that's too much, girl. Sabi ko talaga sa kanya, hala, that's too much, anak. I'm just asking you about your favorite book when you were younger. Do not say, as far as my discernment is concerned with the innuendo, I concur that my favorite book. Okay, what's wrong with that, Sir Joseph? Those are academic words, I know, but they're not fitting for the question. Okay, they're not fitting for the question. You only use those statements if you are asked about economy, politics, education, international awareness, cultural awareness, Miss Universe, yung mga ganyan, no? You're only going to be using that. But if you're asked about your favorite food, diba? As far as my discernment is concerned, as regards this notion, I would give my innuendo that my favorite food is kangkong. Okay. There are numerous foods that I am fond of, 'di ba? Pwede diretsahan na, yes, diretsahin nyo na, 'di ba? If you are asked about your favorite food, why would you give them like a big introduction? Okay, never ever give them like a huge introduction. Just state your favorite food. Diba? What is your favorite food? I am the type of person who's an adventurous eater. I love eating foie gras. Although foie gras is a little bit controversial because of the way that they harvest the duck liver with force feeding the ducks for it to become fatty, hence explaining the buttery texture of foie gras. Diba? Okay, what is your favorite? Based on my opinion, di ba? Kanino pa nga bang favorite yan? Okay, ako po hirap mag-answer na pag books na ang tinatanong. Di ako mahilig magbasa kasi ever since. Alam mo, Queenie, what I always tell my students is you say anatomy book. You can say anatomy book, okay? Or a book that is related to something. You can also fabricate, guys, okay? Fabricate that book that you would love to read. Like, I love reading witchcraft, you know, because I am a witch and I get what I want through witchcraft. Tinakot mo yung examiner. Charing. Okay, Chris Aquino, pinakbet. Oh my gosh, I love pinakbet, you know? It's mixed vegetables. It has, sige nga, Englishin nyo nga yung mga gulay sa bahay kubo. Assignment ha, Englishin lahat ng gulay sa bahay kubo. Okay, so what else? Arrange your answers in a systematic way to make a clear delivery and discussion. Okay, so arrangement of answers really matter. I was asked by a student before at coaching, sabi niya, Sir Joseph, why is it that I find it difficult for me to come up with answers? That's the term of the student. Sir Joseph, why is it that it's difficult for me to be continuous when I'm speaking? Excuse me. And then I told the student, it's because you do not know what to say next. Yeah, that is accurate. You do not know what to say next. That's why you're pausing. It's because you did not arrange the ideas in your head. Ano ba? Bakit ba ako bahing ng bahing? Sorry guys. Oh, kasi dito sa USA, medyo maraming pollen. Grabe. Charing. Okay. So for you to know what to say next, you must arrange your answers in your head. Okay? All right, so let's continue. Foie gras, di ba? Pistachios ang ingredients, di ba? Para social. Okay. So, display your capacity. When we say display your capacity, if the Lexis became a part of your daily conversations, then by all means, show them on the speaking part 1. Do not limit yourself or stop yourself from using the academic words if you can actually use them naturally. That's a waste of talent. That's a waste of time. That is a waste of capacity if you're not going to be using it. Otherwise, why would you learn it in the first place? So kung kaya mo namang gamitin yung mga salitang onerous, cumbersome, di ba? Yung mga tutelage, di ba? Why don't you use it on the first part? It would be very much suggested. Do not be afraid to show your advancement with your examiner, and do not believe the internet fallacy about being simple on the part 1. What's being simple, sir? Could you please give me an example for this one? Okay. Some of the students that I have taught before they move to Elite Intellect, they answer like this. What is your favorite book? I love reading fantasy books like Pinocchio. I love reading fantasy books like Pinocchio. 7 words. How can you be assessed by your examiner within 7 words, girl? That's a sentence. I know. It's already a sentence. However, it's not an accessible sentence. You must give at least 2 to 3 sentences to your examiner for them to assess you properly on the exam. Okay? Albeit, you must sound natural on the test. Never ever memorize things on the examination. Because if you're memorizing them, believe me, you will get deductions. Let me just check my audio. Okay, what else? Arrange your answers systematically. Follow the suggested way to arrange your details. Pretend it's a map, okay? One clue leads to the next and the next one. Okay? So make sure to be vigilant with the flow at all costs. It's always effective when the students arrange their answers systematically kasi alam na nila kung ano yung sasabihin. They know that when they finish saying this, they need to say this. And then after saying that, they need to say this. That is arrangement of flow. Guys, so Sir Joseph, what is your suggested arrangement of flow? If you want to take a screenshot, go and take a screenshot. Let's go. Okay. Okay na ba? Sabihin niyo pagtapos na kayo mag-screenshot Baka mamayang pangit-pangit ko na naman dyan sa mga picture. Say hello to my paddle brush. Di ba? Even my paddle brush is blue. Okay. Tatak nito. Social kaya to. Excuse me. My brush is very expensive. Ang tatak, may huangsi. Okay. So you arrange it this way. Your opening cue, okay? And then your direct answer, your explanation cue, your explanation, your example cue, okay? And then your example and then your closing statement, okay? But guys, if favorite food lang ang tanong, please stay away from the opening cue. Okay, what is an opening cue? Basically, you can say as far as I am concerned, perchance, which is the same as perhaps or absolutely, if you're going to agree, okay? And then state your direct answer. What is your opinion about the question itself? And then after that, your explanation cue. You can explain it by saying in a way that, in a way, or in a sense. There you go. In a way that when people do this, there you go. And then you give them an explanation. And then after the explanation, an example cue. What are the example cues that are recommended for the part one of the speaking? You can say based on my experience, in my community, okay, based on the actions of the people, anything that is relational, okay? Anything that is relational, you can state this as your example, and then your experience or preference is your example. And then for closing, if your examiner allows you to reach the closing part, you may suggest, give a result, or you may predict, okay? All right. So let's say the question is, do you think that the children right now are reading more? Again, do you think that the children right now are reading more? Opening cue, absolutely not. A lot of children are focused with their mobile devices in a way that they do not even fathom the idea of grabbing a book or be interested on that particular matter. Well, based on my observation, this is a trend that is happening widely, globally, which affects the education of the children. It is better recommended for the parents for them to guide the children as regards their preferences, for them to see the fine line between productive and stagnant. Okay, look at that, right? When you have arranged your answers like that, your opening cue, direct answer, explanation cue, explanation, example cue, example, and your closing statement, there's no way that you're going to be running out of things to say on the exam. All right? Okay, next one. Let's take a look at the sample arrangement of answer right here, okay? The question is, what is a recent development in your country that has made a significant impact? Believe me, this is a part one question, okay? What is a recent development in your country that has made a significant impact? Okay, look at the answer here. As I have seen, people now know the concept of following the implementations more in a way that they already know that the actions of the government are for their own being, may it be prodigious or stringent. In my community, the people are always open to the commands of the local leader for the welfare of others. Inasmuch, it bolsters the well-being of everyone in the society. That, I guess, is my notion thereafter. Wow! Napaka-sosyal! But if you're going to be looking at your answer here, it's very much arranged, right? It is arranged. Diba? Okay, if you want to take a screenshot of this one, let's take a screenshot. Pa-screenshot, mga moms! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. PM mo ko! Sorry. Ano kaya kung ganun ako magturo, ano? Alright. Madam Inuts, di ba? Idol ko talaga yan si Madam Inuts. I love her. Madam Inuts, if you're watching this, I love you. Okay. So, what else? Micro versus macro statements, okay? Let's talk about micro and macro statements. Huh? Sir? Let's talk about micro statements first. What are micro statements, okay? When you say micro statements, guys, these are usually statements related to yourself, okay? It is your experience, your preference, your local community, your government, anything concerning you and a small population of people around you, no? These are micro statements. You would need to look whether you're going to be giving your examiner a micro statement or a macro statement. Okay, again, micro statements are your local community, your experience, your preference, your government, anything concerning you and a small population of people that could be considered as a micro statement. Okay, now, for the macro statements, on the other hand, guys, it is a wider scope. All right? It could be your country, your continent, okay, international or global impact, or knowledge, or anything which involves the masses can be elicited as macro statements. Again, micro, just me, my preference, and a small group of people around me. Again, micro, just me, my preference, and a small group of people around me. Macro statements, on the other hand, could be my country, my continent, international, wide knowledge, okay, anything that is quite ubiquitous that could be considered as a macro statement. Sir, why is it important for me to know micro and macro? Because you would need to choose whether your answer would be from a micro statement or a macro statement on the exam. That's why I'm teaching you the concept, my love. Claro bunga? Okay? I am teaching you this micro and macro statement because on the test, you would need to choose whether the question would require a micro statement or a macro statement. What are the questions that would require a micro statement? I'll give you an example. Who is a person who helped you a lot? Who is a person who helped you a lot? Look at that. Oh, good exercise. Tell me if it's micro or macro, okay? Micro or macro. When you were younger, what is an activity that you love doing in the afternoon? When you were younger, what is an activity that you love doing in the afternoon? Micro or macro? Micro, right? It's micro. Okay, what about this one? What do you think about the initiatives of countries? What do you think about the initiative of countries to help the people when it comes to their remuneration sources? Micro or macro? Macro. Diba? In your country, what is a tradition that has been done recently? In your country, what is a tradition that has been done recently? Micro or macro? In your country, macro statements. Very good, guys. Okay. So if that question could be related to yourself or small people around or a group of small people around you, then that is a micro statement. Albeit, if that would require a vague statement, then you would need to answer using macro statements. Ang gagaling naman ng mga alaga namin. Very good. Guzyab. Ano yung guzyab, Sir Joseph? Guzyab. Good job, guys. Okay. So, wait. Let me just clear the annotation. All right. Now, what's the next one? Let's take a look at a sample micro scenario. Okay. Here is an example of a micro scenario answer. Okay. What is a recent development in your area which benefited the people? So dun pa lang sa tanong, you already know, okay, I would need to give a micro statement on this one. Okay, again, the question is, what is a recent development in your area which has benefited the people? The answer is, given that it is the pandemic, the people in my community was able to come up with viable alternatives to gain compensation. In a way that the government has opened programs focusing on livelihood, and this supported not just the indigenous, but as well as the other living classes in the area. The online program of our city on home-cooked meals is exemplar to this. They have opened a spectrum of knowledge for the locals on how to prepare meals which are scrumptious and safe for the general public. Well, as a corollary, the people were able to put their feet in the waters and amass a sustenance for their day-to-day prerequisites. Okay, look at that answer, diba? Well, guys, depende naman sa tanong. Kasi this question is deserving of a deep answer. But it is a micro statement. After all, I'm just eliciting things on my local community. Okay? Now, what about the macro statements? Okay, Mama D. Oh, we have a question from May Sheila. Mama D, what if yung task 3 regarding personal experiences, pwede po yung pang micro gamitin kahit nasa task 3 na kami, no? Yes. Even on the part 3, if the question is about your preference, your experience, mga ganyan, then you can still use micro statements, okay? All right, next one. Macro scenario. Let's take a look. How can people develop their internal capacity with studies? Again, how can people develop their internal capacity with their studies? I concur that people was able to transmogrify their internal being through being versed or adroit with the concepts that education brought about worldwide. In a sense, albeit, there are a plethora of education systems, they shine a spotlight on one thing, which is the amelioration of the way people retain and convey their knowledge, and not just their intelligence. On the accounts of the global education system of 2018, many countries abided by the same vision to provide informative and momentous subjects which causes erudition to the learners. Therefore, extirpating the sense of being nonchalant with the uneducated rate and being involved more to self-progression wherever they are internationally. So look at that. That is a macro answer. Okay. All right, look at that, right? Okay, if you're going to be looking at this one, guys, no, you're going to choose whether that is a macro or a micro answer. Diba? Galing Mama Doy. Thank you, anak. Ano yan? Kinopya ko lang yan. Chas! So you would need to choose whether that is macro or micro. Okay. Nag-exam po ako last August, pero usually ini-stop ako ng examiner after 1 to 2 sentence lang. From part 1 to part 3, wag natin sabihin yung test-taking center, anak, ha? Di po napapahaba yung sagot ko kahit po dami ng gusto kong sabihin. Yes, guys, sometimes your examiners, they tend to do that, okay? They will stop you because they have already heard what they needed to hear, no? Narinig na nila yung kailangan nilang marinig, so you don't even have to worry about that at all, okay? Again, if the examiner stops you, it doesn't mean that they do not like you at all, my love. If the examiner stops you, it just means that they heard what they needed to hear. So it's time for them to move on to the next topic. Okay, so remember, if you were asked a question on the IELTS, guys, you have to select whether you're going to be giving them a micro scenario or a macro scenario. All right. Now, avoid digression on the test. I have seen a lot of students who have lost good points because they cannot stick to the one topic at all. Okay? Sir, ano ba ang common digression sa exam? Listen carefully to the question of the examiner. What is an activity that you love doing in the afternoon? What is an activity that you love doing in the afternoon? Some students, unfortunately, they answer like this. Well, in the afternoon, there is a plethora of things that I love doing. First, I love reading, and then cooking snack, and then bonding with my siblings, and then talking to my parents, and then cooking for dinner. Look at that. You're answering a lot of things for just one question. The question is, what is an activity? An activity. Isa lang ang tanong, anak, no? So if you were asked, what is okay, or what is, basically you would need to answer, what is, just one, okay? Don't give them more than one, okay? That's what we call over-answering on the exam, and it's already digressing to the point. Okay, let's say, what is a book that is memorable to you? Well, when I was younger, I read Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a fantasy book from Disney, and it taught about a lot of valuable lessons about the love of a father to a child. And also, I love The Little Mermaid. It's a book too. I read how Ariel became Tide, and then it became Surf, and then it became Perla Papaya. Yung mga ganyan, di ba? You were asked about one thing, and then you're giving them more than one response. Guys, never ever do that on the exam. Listen carefully to the question. If the question is, what are books? Then that's totally fine for you to say more than one. But if the question is, what is a book? Then don't give them more than one response for you to avoid digression, which is talking about more topics that is no longer expected of you. Okay? So when you are asked a question, make sure that you can relate to your answer. Some students just give answers on their reactive side. Before you even realize, you will find it difficult to continue the idea and you will pause and lose your coherence on the exam. Some students, they tend to digress too on the IELTS because they give answers which are quite big for them. Yeah. Some students, they tend to give answers which are bigger than their own ideation about that particular matter. Don't do that on the exam because if you do not know what you're going to say, I'd rather you not say it at all. Change it. Change it to something with which you can relate. No? Kailangan dito kasi mga anak ko, relatable kayo. No? Tapos yung answer nyo, nakaka-relate din kayo. Hindi yung ang gagawin mo sa exam, bigla-bigla ka na lang sa magsasagot ng malaking bagay, tapos hindi naman natin maipaglaban. 'Di ba? Yung bang niligawan ka tapos hindi ka naman pinaglaban. Pinakilala ka sa mga magulang pero hindi ka pinaglaban yung ganyan. Hugot! Okay. So guys, no? Be careful with that on the exam, okay? If you're going to give answers, make sure that you can simply relate to them, all right? Don't give your examiner, don't bite more than what you could chew, believe me. Tama na, sabi ni J.M. Bradley. Uy, madaming nakaka-relate. Tandaan nyo, walang deadline, okay? Yung iba nagmamadaling magkaroon ng jowa kasi malapit na magpasko. Mga anak, walang deadline, okay? Yung iba nagmamadali kasi magde-December na daw, wala pa daw silang jowa na all. Sabi pang ganyan sa Facebook. Tapos kukuha yung siraulo. December sila, January, hiwalay na. Tapos magkakabali ka ng last week of January kasi nga malapit ng mag-Feb 14. Diba? Tapos after ng Feb 14, break na naman. Don't rush, okay? Fools rush, as they say. Oh my gosh. Parang pwede rin yata akong maging ano, no? Suicidal na. Okay. Alright. SMP, di ba? Samahan ng mga malalamig ang Pasko o hindi malamig ang Pasko. Kahit, guys, if you're single or not, di ba? The true essence of Christmas is family love. Oh, di ba? Family is love. Gusto ko makatipid sa regalo. Oo din. Di ba? Eh kung yung jowain mo pabili sa'yo Xbox o kaya PS5, di ba? O kaya iPhone 13. Ay, wag na lang, di ba? You be single, girl. Okay. Alright. SMP talaga. Sabi. Hoy, Jerlyn, tumigil ka nga. Okay. So follow these steps, guys. Okay? First things first, analyze the question for a split second. Okay? Not 3 seconds, not 4 seconds, not 5 seconds, a split second. Okay? Quickly, you're going to analyze the question. If it is difficult, play with the question by paraphrasing or making a background statement about the question. You may paraphrase the question or you may make a background statement about the question. Okay? Ask yourself, how can I relate to this? Okay? And okay, now state your answers after doing that and expand your answers. Now, check if you are talking way too much or no sense. Okay? What I always tell my students is that if you are talking way too much on the exam and it's no longer making sense, stop. Stop there and then. Okay, do not try to push further even if you know that your delivery already makes no sense at all. And of course, redirect your answer towards the ending. Okay, don't keep on talking and 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 then you don't even make sense anymore. Okay, if you feel like you have already addressed the question and you have expanded your answer somehow, it's time for you to move on. Okay, so do that on the exam. True love waits, di ba? iPhone 13, 1 terabyte, hello, 103,000. Sir, what if we can't relate to the topic or no idea with the topic at all? Good question, Joanna Marie. What you can do here is you can be honest. Tell your examiner that you don't have an idea about the topic, no? You can tell your examiner that you don't have an idea about the topic at all. Or you can actually just try to state your idea based on your own understanding. Okay? But don't say, no idea, pass, next question. Don't say that on the exam, all right? If you don't have an idea about the question or if you cannot relate with the question, be honest, tell your examiner that you don't have an idea about it, or you can talk about it based on your own understanding. Again, on the IELTS, guys, your examiners would not care if your answer is correct or wrong. They would care on the way that you're going to be delivering it. Okay? So you can tell your examiner, unfortunately, my idea is limited as regards this one. But if I'm going to be eliciting based on my own understanding, I would say that, thank you very much. Okay. Now, another important thing. Now, before we go to the flow of the second part, let me call on Mom Zaya. Mom Zaya, listen to Mom Zaya's tips, okay? Mom Zaya is going to give you tips as regards the other things that you could do when it comes to the speaking part 1. Listen to Mom Zaya. She is one of our head coaches here at Elite Intellect Time.
Hi, everyone. Hi, sir. So let me just go to a place that isn't too loud. Okay. So yes, as regards to answering quite honors questions, it is these types of questions are actually my favorite because you can put a lot of lexical resources. Now, last week I told you guys to utilize the descriptive answering type of answering. So now in this type of questions, you need to be creative. You have to think outside of the box. One thing that I tell myself usually before is that I would never let my students tell themselves, oh, this is a hard question, because that's the only thing that comes to mind, right? If you are faced with a question, for example, what is your take of the current developments in healthcare utilizing AI? Now, that's quite a peculiar question. Now, the first thing that would come into mind is, hala, ang hirap. No, you should change that mindset into, wow, that's an interesting question. How can I answer this in a way that's creative? Okay. And you have to try your best to put your experience into works, kumbaga. All of these questions are based on an or based on experience of a normal person. You have been asked all of these questions, even in your native language. All you have to do is just to dig up your past experiences and put them into action. Number two, you have to base it in your current profession. If you're asked about economics, of course you have no idea or have just a minute amount of idea if you're, say, a nurse. Now you have to utilize your profession. Now you're in the Philippines, you're in a third world country wherein healthcare is quite overlooked, right? So you have to put that into words. Now you can answer that in a way that you can say that I am part of the healthcare team, and I can say that our economy is currently in tatters. One way to explain that further is that, again, I am a nurse here, and if the economy of a country is quite robust, I can say that all of the remuneration of these said workers aren't as menial as it is in the other countries. So you can say that you have to put things into your own perspective. You just don't have to settle by saying the usual things. For example, yes, I mentioned earlier, or Sir Joseph mentioned earlier about for gra. So I have seen interviews of lavish and luxurious people like Chris Aquino utilize that as part of her ingredients for pinakbet, including pistachios. Now, you can answer that as your favorite food. For example, if you panic, but you have to give it a twist at the same time. Do not settle for just fried chicken, maybe fried chicken, and you top it with gold foils. So you have to let your imagination run wild for that instance. You do not have to settle for less. Remember, in Elite, we actually try our best to teach our students to have creativity first and foremost, because that will leave a mark, a good mark with your examiners. That will somehow make them remember you for the rest of the 50 students that they will beat, and that will be a good sign for you to not only pass, not only get a 7.0, but above that. So I do think that Sir Joseph now is ready. I will give back the floor to our Mother Dragon.
Thank you so much, Zaya. Oh my gosh, we missed you. We miss your voice. Like really, I miss Zaya's voice every time. 'Di ba? Si Jarlene, alam mo yung, alam niyo, I'm
I
very,
miss you
very...
too.
Oh, thank you, anak ko. Very soon. Oh my gosh, magpapaiyak ka na ulit sa coaching room. Ha, charing. No, I am fortunate enough to get coaches who are very much endearing, no? Your Mom Jerlyn, your Mom Zaya, they're very endearing. Kami ni Sir Jello kasi we're not endearing as. Not naman endearing. Siguro we're just real talk. We're arty, no? Pero si Ma'am Zaya nyo, hindi mo alam. Pasweet lang yan. Nire-real talk ka na yan. Di ba? Tsaka si Ma'am Jerlyn. So thank you ladies. Now my ladies at Elite Intellect, Zaya and Jerlyn, our coaches here. Okay? Namimiss ka na nila, ma'am, sabi ni Ma'am Jerlyn. All right, so let's continue. Let's talk about the flow of the second part. Okay? Alrighty. So, what is one thing? Okay? Before we even go here, I wanted to answer this simple question, guys. Okay? What is one thing that makes the part two difficult for you as a test taker? Come on. What makes the part two difficult for you as a test taker? I want to see your answers right now. Come on, tell me, tell mama, what makes the part two of the IELTS difficult for you? Come on, let's address those things right there. It could be that sometimes, sir, the part two is difficult because we need to speak for 2 minutes. I find it difficult for me to reach 2 minutes. Diba? Some students, they tend to experience that. Okay, what else? Fluency and struggle with the structure. There we go. From Matimimi, from Queenie. Grammar, tenses, subject, verb agreement. Good. No idea about the topic from Ma'am Gladys. Okay. The connectors. What else? Part 2 is my favorite. Hoo-hoo. Sana part 2 na lang palagi. Char! Sabi ni Zaya. Okay, what else? Struggle on how to start the topic. There you go. From Bay, heart, heart, heart. Bay, heart, heart, heart. Ano ba? Okay. Do not know how to start the intro. Lucas, there we go. Okay, from Maristella, no enough time to strategize. Okay, so did you know the time limit that I can answer all your questions right there by just following the simple flow right here? Okay, if you do not know how to start your part two, if you do not know how to strategize on the part two of the speaking, here I usually run out of ideas, and if I do have, I don't have the structure. There we go from Irish. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Ako part 3 favorite ko sa lahat. Sabi ni Ma'am Gladys, ako din. I love the part 3. Especially if it's a two-way discussion. I love the part 3. Terror invigilator, Renee. Don't. Okay, it's okay. They have been instructed not to, what do you call this? Not to intimidate you guys on the exam. All right? Okay, so follow the flow. For you to start, okay, some of you who asked the question, you don't know how to start your part 2, make a background statement about the general topic. Okay, let's say you were asked about talk about an experience that you have had. Okay, talk about a memorable experience that you have had. So what's the general topic of that? It is experience, right? Experiences makes or breaks the or makes the lives of the people meaningful in many ways. Okay, that's a background statement, right? Experiences makes the lives of the people meaningful in many ways. Or let's say you were asked about by your examiner, what is who is a friend that is inspirational to you? Okay, you should say who that friend is, what that friend does, blah 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 blah. Okay, so the topic there is friendship, right? Friendship is one of the integral parts of being human. And I'm lucky enough, might I say, that I have friends who are pretty much supportive. But one who stands out is, okay, there you go. So you're making a background statement on the part 2. Okay? Instead of saying, I was asked to talk about, the topic I was asked to talk about, alam mo, maniwala ka, internal monologue ng examiner, pag yun ang ginawa mo, I was asked to talk about sino pa nga ba ang inatasan ko na magsabi nito. The topic I was asked to talk about is kaninong topic pa ba to? No? So it's overrated. All right? That's a big no-no for you to do that. Okay. Now, Mama D, what if you were not able to answer all the questions from the cue card, yet you finished the 2 minutes? Okay lang ba yon? It depends on the examiner, really, Lucas. Sometimes the examiners will be forgiving for that, but there are some examiners that if you missed one bullet, 1 bullet point. Okay, and you were able to finish the 2 minutes. Your part 2, your fluency, coherence, and content will be affected by that. Okay, they're going to be deducting big answers, big points for that. Okay, so I suggest for you to finish all the bullets. Kasi minsan, na-stop ka na nila. Okay, so it means that you're you have run out of you run out of time. Okay. Yes, no, kaya nga sinasabi ko sa inyo the longest answer should be on the last bullet. Okay, last bullet point is your longest answer, like what I will teach you here. Okay, templated intros. Yeah. The templated intros, please. Okay? I was asked to talk about, the topic I was asked to talk about, I will be presenting about, I will be talking about, never ever say intros like these, okay? Because they're not natural, they're memorized, and they are been used, abused many times. Kumbaga sa panahon ng apon, comfort women na yan. Okay? So don't use those. Okay? All right. Now, okay, make a background statement about the general topic, and then after that, smoothly transition from the background statement towards the first bullet. Now, talk about the first bullet for a few details, just short, okay? And then transition towards the second bullet, and then you talk about the second bullet point for a few details too, all right? And then move on to the third one. Now, on the third one, you can talk somehow. You may tell a short story here on the third bullet point. It will push you, okay, towards the 2 minutes. And then on the last bullet, you detail the longest, remembering that the last bullet point of the part 2 is the most important of all the bullet points. Okay, so you must be there when the 2 minutes strikes 12. Okay. Okay, we have a message here from Isaiah. Okay, those bullet points are not necessary to answer. They're just your guide. As you know, it says you should say, not you have to say. Yeah, that's from the internet. Thank you so much for your very fresh acumen, Isaiah, my love. Okay, what else? Okay, what else, guys? Okay. Oh, I feel like I'm walking in the thin ice while answering these questions. Anyway, I would like to talk about, pwede po bang intro? No, please don't say I would like to talk about. Okay? All right. Now, what else? Remember, it is foolproof if you make the second part look effortless. Okay? I always tell my students that the second part should be glib. Okay? It should be smooth. Okay, it should be something that is not it should not be noticeable. Okay, it should not be noticeable that you guys are struggling on your second part. Okay, utilize your Lexis. Okay, Isaiah said no, I'm also an IELTS teacher. Okay, I would respect that if that is your opinion or the way that you would teach it, but you would also need to listen to the way that I teach it here at Elite Intellect. Thank you so much, Isaiah. All right. Now, next one. You must utilize your Lexis, okay? And of course, tell an interesting story about that. And of course, state a logical point, okay? When you say stating your logical point, what I would want you to remember is that when you are stating your logical point, you basically should, okay? Should catch the attention of your examiner on the last bullet, okay? This is the most important bullet of all. All right. And of course, you must relax, because if you're not relaxing at all, then it would be not good for your second part. Okay. On the second part, as much as you can. All right. You take your time when you're detailing. Don't speak quickly or fastly on the examination. Okay. All right. You're welcome, Isaiah, my love. Okay. Moving on. Now, what is the next thing? Now, guys, when you are on the second part, okay, one thing that you should always say, okay, to your examiners is a good introduction. Okay, good introduction matters. It will make or break your second part. All right, it would make or break your second part. All right. Now, instead of using, okay, the internet techniques, okay, on your second part, why don't you just make it systematic? Okay, instead of using the internet techniques on your second parts, why don't you just make it systematic? That's basically it. All right. Paano po ang good introduction, Mama? All right, basically for the introduction, what you should be doing is that you should make a background statement about the topic. Like I have mentioned earlier, let's say you were asked about a pastime on the internet, okay? A pastime about your internet. All right. So if you are doing some, if your question is a pastime on the internet, okay, then you can give a background information about the internet itself. Okay. Then you should be making an introduction about the internet itself. Okay. So let's say the internet is a mysterious place in as much as there are a lot of information that people could find there. Okay. The thing that I love doing during my web time is, okay, look at that, right? So instead of just saying I was asked to talk about, okay, I was expected to talk about, then it would be better if you guys just make a background statement about that. All right? Okay, any more questions for the part 2? Excuse me, guys. Any more questions on the part 2 before we move on? Okay, we have a question from May Sheila. Dapat chronological order po ba sundan yung bullet points po? I recommend for you to do so. Yeah, I highly encourage my students for you to follow the flow. Okay, follow the flow, arrange it chronologically. Okay, arrange it chronologically because at the end of the day, why are those bullet points there? Are they just there to confuse you or are they just there to as a display if you're not even going to mind them at all? That's my question from the internet format. Diba? That's my question, really. Could somebody explain to me, are those bullet points just placed there as display for you to look at them? Right? Okay, so if you're going to be logically looking at it, nako, if some people are teaching for you not to answer this, diba? Child, I'm nervous for the students, really. Yeah, genuinely, I'm nervous for the students. Okay. So what's next? Okay. Now, before we move on the most coveted techniques for the part 3, let me just congratulate our IELTS passers this week. You know what, guys? I am pretty much thankful and filled with joy because this week, I think we have had students who gotten an 8.0 and above the most. Okay, on the examination. So let's just congratulate these students, okay? Alistair Jose Carlos, a nurse in Davao City, listening 9, reading 8, speaking 8.0, and writing 8.0. Maristela Campo, nurse from Kuwait, speaking 8.5, writing 8.0. Okay, Charmaine Licao Kogiao, nurse in Doha, Qatar, speaking is 8.0. Okay, what else? Annalise Jacob Jacob, nurse in Cebu City, speaking is 8.0. Jason John Garcia, nurse in UAE, speaking is 8.0. Flor Deliza Cabantog, medical technologist, KSA, speaking is 8.0. Gia Brial Diocampo, nurse in Cebu City, speaking is 8.0. Georgie Pulag Abaston, nurse in Canada, speaking is 7.5. Okay, what else? Vincent Mendoza, senior nurse in the Philippines, speaking is 7.0. Marilyn Quizan, nurse in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, speaking is 7.0. And of course, Sharon Polonia from Istanbul, Turkey, GD passer for Canada. So congratulations, guys. Is this our Sharon here from IFNG? Mom Gladys?
Yes, sir.
Ay, congratulations, Sharon, my love. Oh my
She was the
gosh.
recipient po. Parang ano siya sa ating scholarship. Siya yung recipient
Sharon.
natin. Yeah.
I remember her. Thank you so much, Mom
Yes.
Gladys. I remember her like every time Mom Zaya would ask students to present if they would want to do assessments, she would be the first one to do it. And now she's a passer, guys. Okay? So please do not stop working on your goals. No? And thank you so much, Elite Babies. My gosh, you always feed me 8.0. Salamat. Okay. Now, guys, December is the IELTS exam season. So it has been observed that many students pass the IELTS during December. So to help you prepare early, we give you Elite Focus. Okay, so it is unlimited review, no limit, lifetime validity, unlimited one-on-one coaching in speaking and writing, one-on-one coaching with grammar, pronunciation, delivery, and vocabulary, live group classes and recorded classes, flexible and convenient schedule for international and domestic students. Also, guys, computer and mobile delivered mock tests, free handouts and preparation books. The first to use Elite Notes, okay? A systematic and colorful lecture system for easier learning, free final coaching and assessment. And of course, we are proud to bring back the boot camp. Coaching sessions, work harder, be assessed more, and work on your weaknesses on the boot camp. This is the coaching sessions that changed the performance of the students in 2020. So here, guys, when we are on the boot camp, what we do here is if we have observed that the student is not really good when it comes to detailing or grammar or pronunciation or any type of weakness, we're going to be sending them to the boot camp with a coach. And then they're going to be spending their time there at the boot camp until they improve their capacity. All right, so Elite Focus is our most detailed program to intensely prepare the students who are weak with their IELTS skills to make them operational for the examination for 10 for 10 students only, guys. Okay, sorry, we cannot accept more than 10 students for this batch. Okay, so this is an exclusive IFNG viewers discount. Pay only 4,999 instead of 6,500. And if you enroll as a group of 3, okay, and above, all right, that is 3,999 only per student. Okay, so just message Ma'am Tanya on our Facebook page. You can see our, excuse me, you can see our Facebook page right there on the chat box of our Zoom meeting, and of course at the comment section of our live meeting for tonight. Okay, so enroll now. I'll see you in class very, very soon. Now, before we move on, I think we have a question here. Okay. Sir, is it okay to answer the question for part 2 directly rather than giving an introduction background? I'm afraid that I might sound confusing kapag nag-background pa ako. Yes, Clarice, you may go directly to the point. Actually, it is better for you to go directly to the point rather than saying memorize templates. Okay, memorize templates from the internet. All right. Okay, so what else, guys? All right. Okay. Sir, saan po magme-message? Okay, please send a message to our Facebook link right there. You will see our Facebook link at the chat box of Zoom and of course at the comment section of our live tonight at IFNG. So I'll see you in class. All right. And of course, guys, still our NCLEX batch 22 is accepting enrollees, 7,999 only instead of paying 25,000. You get a free IELTS review with this one. Okay, so it's NCLEX plus IELTS for only 7,999 pesos. If you want to avail of this, just send a message to our Facebook page right there. Okay. Excuse me, guys, if I can't stop sneezing, my allergic rhinitis is too much. I don't know. I think I'm allergic to internet techniques. Charing. Okay, so let's talk about the third part of the speaking test. Who among you would say, okay, we know that Mom Gladys and I love this part right here. We love part 3. Now, who among you loves part 3 too? I want to know. Who among you loves part 3 too? Wala. Walang may gusto ng part 3? Hala! Totoo ba? Okay, that's good. From Gladys C. I love part 3 too. I'm more into conversing siguro. That's good. Okay, what else? Better than part 2 from Bay. Okay. Okay, we have Maristella. And we also have Kat Mendoza. Yeah, guys, part 3 is actually better than the part 2. Really? You don't believe me? On the part 2, you're forced to talk for 2 full minutes. Whereas here on the third part, basically you have to show your in-depth acumen. That's basically it, okay? On the part 3, you are going to be showing your in-depth acumen given that they are more challenging questions. All right. So, on the third part, this is an abstract idea part or a two-way discussion. Okay, from Zara. Part 3 is way easier for me to answer than part 1 and 2. Yeah. I don't know if you can relate to this, but when you love part 3, you find part 1 questions quite difficult. Really, the simple ones, they're very much simple. They're very much difficult to fathom. It's difficult to fathom the idea, right? Okay. So, there are two ways that your part 3 might be delivered, okay? Okay, from Maristella, because I feel like it's my opportunity to substantiate my stance to what I've said in the part 2. That's really good too. Okay, so it could either be an abstract idea part, okay, which would focus on your logical way of state of reasoning, okay, or two-way discussion with which the examiner might state their views and you would need to expand your claims. All right. Who among you here has taken the IELTS before and then the examiner said, try again? Okay, or the examiner said, what else can you add to that? What else? What about it? Okay, who among you has experienced this before? Right? They ask you about the topic and then you gave your idea and then the examiner said, what else? It means that your examiner is making it a two-way discussion. Okay, now for abstract idea questions, basically what you would need to do, guys, on this part is to just show the depth of your acumen. Do not give them basic answers here on the abstract idea. Whereas on the two-way discussion, if your examiner said, what else? Okay, or try again. There you go. If your examiner says that, it's okay. Just say another thing. Or another thing that your examiner could do here is that they're going to be giving their direct idea about that and you would either expand it or oppose it. But guys, what I always tell my students is for them to expand it. Okay? You expand the ideas of the examiner. You don't oppose it. It would be pretty much onerous. Okay. With me, I was asked why, what happened. Yeah. They are going to be giving you follow-up questions here on part 3, which means that could become a two-way discussion. You could say, yeah, the examiners could also say, give examples. What are the examples to this? What else? There you go. So when they do that, guys, don't be afraid if that happens because they're making it a two-way discussion. Okay, they're making it a two-way discussion. So just what do you call this? Just give them another thing, or you expand their claims, or you support the ideas or the details for that matter. All right. Okay. Yes, you would need to justify. All right. So the good news is there is no right or wrong answer on this part. Okay. You must remember to detail as much as you can to ensure quality answers and not verbal diarrhea. Now, some students, they tend to just talk here, and then their answers do not have substance at all. So one thing that I would want you to remember for this one is for you to give details. All right. Give details that are quality answers. Okay, let's say you were asked, what is a good way to boost the economy of your country given the pandemic? What is a good way to boost the economy of your country given the pandemic? So do not say things like, well, they cannot do anything right now because it's the pandemic. Most people are affected by the pandemic, and it's quite difficult for them to boost the economy at this point. Don't say that. All right? Well, what the governance could do is for them to provide self-sustaining opportunities for the people that they could do even if they are at home so that they may pay their taxes and contribute towards the economy of the country for an anabasis for that matter. Okay, now let's say your examiner said, what else? What else can your country do for them to boost this? Okay, so you can say another thing, right? They may launch educational systems that could teach the clients or that could teach the parents for them to make an alternative way of living instead of working in offices. Okay, or home work could be encouraged more. Diba? Yung mga ganyan, okay? So remember that on the part 3, guys, you must detail. OMG, true. Verbal diarrhea is a common mistake. Totoo. Some of the students, unfortunately, they tend to talk, and then there's no sense. There's no point at all. No? Okay, so remember, detail for at least 40 seconds. If the examiner interrupts you, it's utterly all right. Okay? I don't know, a lot of students, I've been teaching the IELTS for the past 11 years, guys. Okay? And on my experience, I have seen a lot of students who would be bothered if their examiner stops them, right? It's totally fine if that happens, okay? It doesn't mean that your examiner doesn't like you. Again, it's not their job to like you, okay? Choose to like your examiner rather than worrying if your examiner likes you. All right. Okay. Limit number of days of restrictions because some micro businesses are affected. Yeah, that's actually good, Bay. Thank you. They can limit the number of day of restrictions because all of these small businesses could contribute to the economy. The taxpayers are affected. Okay. All right. Now, arrange your answers also. You can do your opening cue, your direct answer, your explanation cue, your explanation, your compartmentalizing. Okay, we have discussed compartmentalizing, right? Okay. From Maristella, Mama Dragon, how true is that we're not allowed to talk about government or political views, religious and gender issues? Yeah, they're not going to be asking you about that. Okay, basically, if something would be asked about governments, I think it would be about economy, but not political views at all. Who is better? What do you think about gender equality? There's no such question on the IELTS, guys. Everything is general knowledge based, so as not to offend the people who are taking the IELTS examination. Okay. Sir, is it okay to not give examples in part 3 as long as we provided supporting details? Yes, you may, but it would be better if you're going to be giving an example. But when worst comes to worst, okay, it's okay not to give an example. All right. Now, you can give an example cue and then an example. It could be a research, a study, or media resources, and then you may close, okay? Suggest, predict, result, or a memorable line for the part 3. This is what I always tell my students. Minsan nakaka-distract yung aha. Okay. Habang nagsasalita ka. Yes. Sometimes they tend to do that. Okay. Don't be distracted when the examiners do that. Okay. It's just that they're responding. Okay. They're conversing with you. Okay. From Gladys C, how about po it is included in the possible example what we have in mind, like gender equality? Well, I'd rather you just stay away from these things. Okay, religious, political, gender views, mga ganyan, no? Racial colorism, yung mga yan. Any answer that would give your own biases on it, it's not recommended on the exam. Okay? All right. What else? You're welcome. Glad to see my love. All right. So let's take a look at the sample part 3 answer. Okay. The question is, who do you think should oversee the welfare of the people, the government or themselves? Basically, this one is talking about welfare, not political views at all. So it is the people indeed, in a way that they need not to pass their own obligations to the government. It is ponderous for them to deviate from indolence and entitlement. These are the culprits and as to why the people do not amass their analysis in life. With this, if they rely on the governance, stagnation shall manifest. On the accounts thereof, people do not attain amelioration because of not stepping forward in the first place. As a corollary, if they were to depend on their own prowess, then a manifold of transcendent living standard changes shall be observed, so to speak. Okay, look at the answer, right? Look at the answer there. It's structured, it's arranged. Okay. How about po eye contact? Does it really matter? Well, if you're not comfortable with eye contact, a trick that I tell my students is don't look at the eye of the examiner. Look at the tip of their nose. Yeah, you look at the tip of their nose, it looks like you're looking at their eyes. No, if you're not comfortable. Hand gestures habang nagsasalita, big no or okay lang? For hand gestures, guys, not too much, okay? Baka mamaya, kung ano na yung ginagawa mo habang nagsasalita ka. I'm working right now as a nurse. Ano yan, Sir Joseph? Pang-BP. Don't do that, okay? Not too much. Okay, you can say you can put your hand like this, okay, or you can use that. All right, you can say time to time. All right, you can enumerate, but not too much. Okay, don't be Mariah on the exam. Well, there are a lot of things that I enjoy in this world, but if you're going to be asking me, I would say that these are the things that I am for. May dance steps ka lang nabuo sa exam. Ayan, nawala tuloy yung bangs ko. Make me bring back my bangs. Diba? Baka mamaya ikaw sa exam gumagano ka. Of course, people should be number one. Diyos ko! Napa-TikTok lang di oras. Sana may points din yun, no? TikTok. Diba? Not too much. Okay, guys? Hand gestures are okay. They're allowed on the exam, but not too much. Okay? Your examiners would not appreciate kung ginawa mo kapwa ko, mahal ko. Diba? Yung bilog dun sa ilalim tapos yung nag-i-interpret. Naku, don't do that. Okay? You can actually just use it from time on end. Okay? So arrange your details this way. On the part 3, it would be better. Okay? If you're going to be doing that. All right? Okay. So, Mark 10, verse 27. But Jesus looked at them and said, with men it is impossible, but with God, for God, all things are possible. One thing that you would need to remember, guys, is that everything is possible to the Lord. Okay? Everything is possible to the Lord, even if you say that something is way too high up there that you cannot reach it, as long as you have faith. Okay? With the Lord, then everything is possible. Okay? So let's just pray for you guys who attended this live session tonight. Okay? You know me as your mama. I love praying for you. Okay? Heavenly Father, we would like to thank Lord God for another opportunity to help the students prepare for their IELTS examination here at IFNG. Lord, we are grateful for the opportunity for us to help them and abet them when it comes to their preparation. Lord, you know that they need this examination for them to improve in life, and we, Lord, believe that nothing is ever impossible as long as we are with you. Lord, I pray for the admins of IFNG, keep them blessed, happy, and healthy, and also the students who are preparing for the IELTS examination, and for the students or for the upcoming students of Elite Intellect 9, Lord, thank you for guiding them towards your way. This is our prayer, declaring victory in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, guys, blessed evening, everyone. All right, so I think we still have questions. Amen. Okay, sana may points pa yung pagsayaw. Nabitan nyo yon? Okay, guys. So, if you would still want to avail of our Elite Focus program, just send a message to Mom Tanya at our Facebook page right there. You can see it at the chat box of our Zoom meeting, and also you can see it at the what do you call this, at the comment section of our Facebook Live. All right, any questions, guys? Oh, guys, next Friday. Let's talk next Friday. What would you want me to discuss to you? Okay, I want you guys to request listening, reading, writing, speaking. Come on, make a request. You know me, I love writing. Okay, writing. What else? Come on. Listening, reading, writing, speaking. Writing task 1 or writing task 2? Which one, guys? Which one would you want? Writing. Okay. Okay, then. So we're going to be formulating a discussion that could help you when it comes to your writing next Friday at 10 p.m. PHC. Now, before I return this to Mom Gladys, in behalf of Sir Delo, Mom Zaya, Mom Tanya, Mom Jerlene, and Mom Charm, this is your Mama Dragon sending my love to you from the Philippines. I'll see you next Friday, my children. Bye, guys. I love you
Mama
all.
Gon. Thank you,
Back
Elite
to you, Mom
Squad.
Gladys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. See you next week. Bye.